Hello, Jacob here. And today, Minnesota Vikings 2022 training camp preview. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Sunday, the rookies will arrive in Eagan, and then on Tuesday, the rest of the veterans will show up, and then we hit the ground running on Wednesday. And I can't wait to see what these practices will look like. I can't wait to see what they have in store, basically. What our coaching staff will do, how all the schemes and how they'll utilize the players for different fits, and just basically see how this whole chessboard's going to move. Because, well, the offense really hasn't changed a whole lot as far as personnel, but boy, the scheme will change. And the defense, by far, for the second year in a row, is probably going to be the biggest change on this team. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So, yeah, as I mentioned before, the conglomeration of the defensive fronts, the defensive schemes. How is Ed Donatell's defense going to differ from the Zimmer style of defense? Because he runs a lot more 3-4 oriented defenses, Donatell does, and a lot more of like a zone oriented, scheme oriented fit versus more of just like a 4-down and, linebacker blitzes all the time. Which again is really cool if it works, but that offset chance it doesn't, or a lot of times when it doesn't, or however you want to say it there, yeah. Then it just leaves the middle of the field wide open, and, well, we've been burnt to a crisp several times there. So, if we can, get our coverages down to a T, get everything crispy and just moving, basically. Thankfully, a lot of the veterans have been together now for at least a couple years, so they kind of understand how everything molds together. So it'll help out with a lot of the newer guys and the younger guys, especially on our secondary, which hopefully Ed Donatell and those guys will actually kind of mentor and gel and mold. Because, Patrick Peterson ain't getting any younger. Harrison Smith ain't getting any younger. Eric Kendricks ain't getting any younger here, So, if we can get the young guys up at about the level of our top defensive players are, then we'll be in good shape here. As well as, can we actually stop somebody in a pressure situation? Because I heard a stat last year. This is crazy. I'm pretty sure a lot of the Vikings fans have also heard this stat. But if we would have not given up a touchdown in the final 2 minutes of the half, which the Vikings were historically bad at giving up touchdowns within the last 2 minutes, we would have gone 15-2. Now, again, take that with a grain of salt here, because there was also games that we won where that very easily could have flipped over on its head, too. But anyway, all said and done, we ended up going 8-9. Zimmer and Spielman were fired, as they should have been. And, yeah, that basically wraps that up there. I don't think I have to keep going in there. But now on to the offense. And I know he'll never listen to this, but this is it. Alrighty, kids, listen up. Kirk Cousins, this is it. No more excuses. You have all the weapons in the world. You have Justin Jefferson. You have Thielen. You have Cook, C.J. Ham, Irv Smith Jr. There is no reason why this offense can't excel and can't, push forward here. But this is it, though. You're out of excuses. Because at least last couple seasons, Zimmer and that stuff, and just like the whole toxicity of the locker room, it was definitely there. Whether or not you like Kirk, you hate Kirk, you can't stand him, you want him to be your quarterback for the rest of your life, all Vikings fans can agree there was definitely something going on. Will we know the extent of everything? Maybe, maybe not. Does Zimmer come out and say, I told you so? Who knows? I mean, it's no secret that, he really didn't want Kirk. Nobody really did in that front office, it felt like. But, again, at that point, we were kind of caught in a rock and a hard place. Because, Bridgewater's leg, we weren't sure if that was going to be, there. I mean, I don't have to go back to that 2016 day. Sam Bradford, I mean, he was about as well off as Teddy Bridgewater. And Case Keenum was fool's gold. I mean, let's just put it bluntly there. There was the defense that really was the main reason we made it to the championship game that year. And then the defense fell off like none other. So. But this is it, though. Going back to here now, because in my opinion, I think the reason we didn't pick up a quarterback in this past draft is because, well, A, new regime. Might as well see what we have with Kirk, since he's going to be under contract at least through this year. I think his contract technically ends, though, after 2023. But still, regardless. Now, maybe, who knows, maybe they can work a little bit of magic with Kirk. Maybe they can, get the ball out of his hands quicker, make it more of like a speedy style offense where it's like a dip and dunk, while still letting him heave it deep when we need to. Or, who knows. Plus, I wouldn't even be surprised if, the reason why they kept Kirk is to groom Mond and see what they got with him, because heaven forbid Kirk goes down. And like I say, this is like a doomsday scenario, but if Kirk goes down, start Kellen Mond. Get him on the field. This season's pretty much going to be toast, but at least Kellen Mond can potentially give us something different. Sean Mannion doesn't fucking work. How many times do we have to say it to the Wilfs? Sean Mannion does not work as a backup quarterback. Do we have to go back to week 17 last year? But anyway, back to Kirk Cousins. This is it. Because if he doesn't get it done this year, I want him out. I want to try something new, because insanity, the definition of insanity is doing the exact same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And of course, it's just like, well, the defense sucked, or, the offense, we never groomed anybody, or we never got the pieces for Kirk, or it's just like this, that, and the other thing. Zimmer was a bad coach for him. Again, I'm not saying he was, I'm not saying he wasn't, I mean, duh. But again, this is it. I have a feeling Kirk Cousins has to get it done this year. Otherwise, we need to move to a different direction and start over and develop again. Trust me, there's not going to be an issue getting a quarterback if we wanted to. I mean, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook, Irv Smith. I don't know a quarterback in the league who would, who wouldn't want to play with that cast of receivers. I mean, Justin Jefferson's already a borderline top 5 receiver in the league, and he's only in year 3. Adam Thielen, one of the sneakiest surprise receivers out there. He can get it done still. If Irv can stay healthy, that gives us that receiver tight end threat, that speedier tight end. Don't really like our depth behind him, because, to be honest with you, I really don't know any of the depth behind him. I think it's like a couple of players, and like one of them, Kevin O'Connell had in, L.A., but I think he only played like 5 snaps, so. And again, I'm not saying we don't have great depth behind the tight ends. I mean, if I'm being honest here, we probably don't, but. Whew. Again, this is just sort of a rambly Vikings video here, but Training camp is upon us, and boy, I am excited. So stay tuned, because next week I'll probably give kind of more previews as I watch more of the training camp videos and all that stuff. But I mainly wanted to get on here because, well, it's make or break time this year, buddy. If Kirk doesn't, work out, we either have to A, get a quarterback, B, roll with Mond, or C, draft someone. And, again, there's no reason why we can't get a top quarterback next year. If any one of them hits free agency, that's decent. Or if we go out there and draft the savior. So, until we meet again, though, this is Jacob, and have a good night.